Now that you understand pain and all the physiological processes involved with chronic pelvic, genital, and sexual pain, it is time to talk to you about mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques and how they can help you manage and even decrease your pain. Mindfulness techniques are particularly helpful in the management of chronic pelvic pain because it can help us become aware of the specific triggers that are being set off in that moment. The more we learn about our bodies and gain awareness of our organs, muscles, and nerves, the more we can decipher where the pain is coming from, and consequently, what coping mechanisms to use. In other words, the more our brain understands where the pain is coming from, the less scary or threatening those signals are perceived, and the more control we can have over managing how we respond to those signals. Mindfulness practice is ideal for cultivating greater awareness of the unity of mind and body, as well as of the ways unconscious thoughts, feelings, and behaviors can undermine our overall health. Mindfulness is not only a practice, but a way of being, a way of living. We all have a tendency to be on automatic pilot. We often go through our daily lives without living in the present moment. We are either thinking about the past, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or the future, the what-ifs, and constantly preparing for what could happen. The focus is on doing rather than being. Mindfulness is the practice of being in the present moment without judgment and without trying to change anything. It is the practice of becoming the observer of our experience. Through this practice of being present comes a quieting of the mind and calming of the body because it offers a pause, a space to choose what our mind is focusing on. When we have this choice, we can choose to focus on things that feel better. Most of us go about our lives in automatic pilot, or the doing mode. Our society trains us to be this way. We go, 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 do, 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 and if we sit down to breathe, we hear the judgment that we should be doing something. We often follow a certain routine, drive the same way to work, brush our teeth the same way, etc. Many daily activities are completed without thinking too much about how we are doing them. We are just doing. When we stay in the doing mode for a long period of time without pausing to breathe, two things can occur. One, it can trigger negative emotions or reactions. And two, it can jumpstart habitual coping patterns, such as mindless eating or biting our nails. When we are in the doing mode, we are standing under the waterfall of life. We feel weighed down and sometimes plummeted by racing thoughts, stress of the past, stress of the future, and we become easily overwhelmed with daily life, enhancing unwanted and unhealthy emotion rather than reducing it. Because, in the doing mode, events happen and then our minds place meaning to that event. So we may confuse what happened with our personal and subjective interpretations or assumptions about what happened. And here is where we get stuck. In the concept of pain, we recognize signals being sent up to our brain from a certain part of the body, and then, depending on our neural matrix, we add meaning, assumption, and interpretation to those signals. If we don't know about our bodies or what is going on, the danger flags rise and we get stuck in the blue area. Mindfulness helps bring us back to where the two circles overlap, the actual event and the intended purpose. This is the being mode. Remember, mindfulness is the practice of being in the present moment without judgment or intention to change anything, simply being the observer of our experience. Thus, in the being mode, there is no expectation to achieve a particular goal because the focus is on accepting what is going on in the moment and not fighting to change it. In fact, with pain, the more we fight it, the more it fights back. When we practice observing and accepting what is, in this moment only, it becomes less overwhelming. We step behind the waterfall. In the context of pain, when we become aware of the signals in our body, we often also think about how long we have had this pain and worry about how much longer we will still have this pain. This is a lot more overwhelming and threatening to the system compared to simply observing that we are experiencing pain in this moment alone. This pause allows the signals to be processed differently in the brain and helps stop the unnecessary racing thoughts or rumination that can often lead to unhealthy coping skills. This new approach to living does not come easily because it is unfamiliar to what we are used to. When we practice something unfamiliar, our error detection signal is triggered, which can lead us to questioning new or different coping skills as being helpful or not. The mind's error detection signal is there to let you know when you are doing something unfamiliar. There is no judgment in this process. It is not saying something is right or wrong, but rather familiar or unfamiliar. For example, did you ever try to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand? If you try this, your mind will start to talk to you, asking you, why are you doing this? What are you doing? This is silly. Go back to doing what you're used to doing. That is your error detection system in your brain. You may experience this in the beginning process of learning and practicing mindfulness, because the being mode is unfamiliar. Don't worry about this happening. In fact, expect it to happen. Know that this will dissipate with practice. The more you practice something, the more familiar it becomes. The more familiar it becomes, the less your error detection signal will speak up. So when you're first learning mindfulness, it can be like a dance between the being and the doing mode. Depending on your personal experiences, you may find different approaches to mindfulness helpful or not helpful. That is why there are two ways to practice mindfulness, an active way or a meditative way. An example of active mindfulness is the mindful eating exercise. This can be a fun activity to do with a friend or partner. If you Google mindful eating script, a partner or friend can read this script aloud, and you can experience the delicious enjoyment of mindful eating. An example of practicing mindfulness in a meditative way is through sensory awareness, using the breath as your main anchor in the present moment. This is what you're going to experience today. This is a 3-minute breathing space meditation. For as we go about our busy lives, it becomes easy to detach from our present moment experiences. Mindfulness, which is what we'll practice today, is the practice of being aware of the present moment, without judgment and without any intention of changing anything. This breathing space is meant to give us a break from the daily rituals of thought and activity and help us rejuvenate our minds by becoming aware of the present moment. Now, as we begin, closing your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, noticing without judgment any sensations in the body, bringing a presence of love and acceptance to the present moment. Becoming aware of your thoughts as if they were clouds drifting by in the sky. As you breathe, you may notice the relaxing sensations of the breath. Slow, soft, steady inhalations, and slow, soft, steady exhalations. Allow the mind to float on the movement of the breath. Noticing the pause between the breaths. Simply being with yourself in this quiet, peaceful, relaxed space. In order to deepen the breath, place one hand on the upper chest, feeling the sensation of touch or pressure where your hand is making contact with your upper chest, and imagine breathing into that space. That's right. And move moving your hand down into the center of your chest, and imagine breathing into that space. Good. And now moving your hand down in between the bottom ribs where your diaphragm is, and imagine breathing into that space. Simply breathing and releasing. And when you're ready, taking a deep breath in, coming back to this room, back to now, back to today. Welcome back. Notice how your body feels after only 3 minutes of focusing on the breath. Simply by increasing the oxygen in your body, the muscles and nerves begin to calm. Nevertheless, you may have experienced some frustrations if this was your first time trying this type of meditation. Here are some common frustrations for someone beginning to learn and practice mindfulness. Remember, the brain will only try to distract you if it feels you are doing something unfamiliar. The more you practice, the more familiar it will become, and the more your mind will become quiet and peaceful during this time. Explore the many ways of practicing mindfulness, and you will find how to implement mindfulness into your daily life. Do this, and the benefits will be endless.